Hello, good morning,
Ma'am,
ma'am.
welcome.
Thank you, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yo.
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Okay.
Hello? Yeah. Thank you, ma'am.
Kasturi, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me, ma'am? Ma'am?
You're audible, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. It's audible. Lakshmi, ma'am, can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. So shall we start?
I think, ma'am, she's on mute.
She joined actually.
Yeah, shall I start, ma'am?
Nanapriya, ma'am. Good morning. She
Good
was in the
morning.
meeting.
Yeah.
Yes. Shall we start, ma'am?
Yes, please.
Yes. Ma'am, start. Kasturi, ma'am. Please start.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you. Happy morning to all present here. First of all, I thank esteemed guests and distinguished colleagues and the participants hailing from diverse corners of the globe. I extend a gracious welcome to our International Faculty Development Program on the outcome-based education in association with Allana Institute of Management Science, Pune. I am Mrs. Kasuri, privileged to serve as your host and have been proposed honor to the preside over this esteemed occasion. First of all, I have congratulated all the participants and who are all here for successfully we are entering a third day of our faculty development program. Before we proceed, let us collectively recognize the profound significance of this moment. We were very thankful to our college chairman, principal, dean academics, and HOD of our management studies and our core staffs for the providing us this opportunity to organize such a delayed faculty development program. Moving ahead, to enrich the knowledge of faculties through interaction with eminent personalities from industries and academics, the knowledge sharing will improve the teaching learning process to the students as well as and faculties. It's my immense pleasure to introduce our expert, Dr. Nanapriya ma'am. She is working as an assistant professor grade 1 in Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering at National Institute of Technology, Kurukshetra since November 2022. Welcome you, ma'am. She had completed her Bachelor of Engineering in Electronics and Telecommunication Engineering and MTech in Signal Processing from Netaji Subhas Institute of Technology, University of Delhi at 2013. And she had completed her PhD from Indian Institute of Technology, IIT Delhi at 2013. She has contributed an three sponsored research project titled as Framework for Driving Context Awareness of Mobile or Wearable Device User, then a signal processing algorithm for passive detection of open space or enclosed spatial environment founded by ST Microelectronics, Santa Clara, CA, USA. Then she had contributed a project titled Deep Learning Model Based Computer Vision Based Rehabilitation Exercise with the Institute of Technology, Uttarakhand. She had granted 5 patents and published 10 journals on an IEEE and SCI index and Scopex, etc. And she had published She had attended more than 13 conferences all over the world and published two book chapters. Then she also have been working as a research guidance for the PhD. The title as a framework for effect recognized using and physiological signals, and she have been more interested in the invited talks since from 2021 to till date. Mm, Finally, she have been working as an administrative post at an NIT Uttarakhand and held as a various posts like HOD, Associate Warden, International Affairs, Photography Club and Camera, and especially in Internal Complaints Committee and Faculty Staff Club, etc. Let's start our first session taken care of by Dr. Nona Priya ma'am. Once again, I heartily welcome to our FDP program. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Kasturi ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
So, shall I start my
Sure,
presentation?
ma'am. It's here. Yes, ma'am. Sure. Thank you, ma'am.
Session is yours.
So, is my screen visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And I'm audible, right?
Yes, yes. Very well.
Yes, ma'am. You're audible. Yeah.
Okay. So, I shall be starting off with my presentation. Just a minute. Yes. Yes, my microphone is on. So, very good morning to all my dear colleagues, fellow students, and organizers of this um, FDP. Thank you for inviting me to this wonderful session. Now, I shall be starting. The lecture for today will be Outcome Based Education for NEP 2020. So, basically, I would be talking about two major components. First major component is changes in higher education under NEP 2020. We would like to know what is NEP 2020 and how is it changed in comparison to the traditional education system which was followed in India. So, what was the motivation? Why was it required? How is it going to affect us in education sector? Us as faculty, how we are going to refine our outcomes, our question papers, our teaching ways, our outcomes, all those things will be covered under NEP 2020. Then I'll go on the second important part of this lecture, which is outcome based education. And you have already done 4 sessions on 2 session on day 1 and 2 session on day 2, which comprises of knowing what is actually outcome based education. I had seen few lectures, and in those lectures you have already covered Bloom's taxonomy and various other components of outcome based education. So, in addition to what you have already learned, I would like to add it to NEP 2020. So, starting off, now when we are in 21st century, first we should think about what are the characteristics of 21st century. The characteristic is first growing population, and with growing population comes competitiveness. There will be competition in each and every sector, whether it is business administration, whether it is medical science, whether it is engineering. You name a field, and there will be competition. With competition, there would be a necessity to cater to those demands. So, the next point comes complex consumer behavior. We have seen tremendous changes in education sector in last few years itself. We would be very well be clear that before COVID, pre-COVID, we were teaching in purely traditional way. There was no concept of online teaching, online classes, nothing. With a change, with a challenge came a solution. And with that, everything is changing. Now, even if we think about consumer behavior, if you apply your mind how we have changed in last 5 years, consumer behavior, you would yourself accept the fact that your shopping experience has changed, your theater movie experience has changed. You have moved from a traditional multiplex to a OTT system. Instead of going to kirana, now you are shopping at least half or more, most of it online. So depending on your place and your convenience, the consumer behavior has changed. There is widespread urbanization in each and every sector. Every person is trying to go from a village to a more urban place. Climate change is happening. This year we have recorded a very high temperature in summers. This is not usual. These heat waves are not usual. These are climate changes. Spread of pandemics, we have already seen it. Abundant data generation. Now each and everything is data. Even I have received many fake calls. Why is it so? The data which we use on mobile number, email address, even our personal PAN card numbers, all those things are data and these are leaked. So now with abundant data, we should be able to utilize it. A rapid adoption of technology, decision complexities, globalization, these are the characteristics of 21st century. And with these characteristics of 21st century, we have developed few lacuna in current education system. So, in current education system, the lack or lacuna is no focus on employability. There is increased number of dropouts. One point which I would like to raise here is that even if a job is present, the required skill set is not present. In India, there was a particular article which was talking about that our employability, our skill set ratio has decreased so much that we are in dire need of refined skills. Government is even trying to put pressure to develop those skill sets. Increased dropouts, yes, there is. Lack of impactful research, yes. In today's world, we are there are so much retraction of papers. We are hearing the news of retraction of papers. Why? Because instead of doing impactful research, we are just trying to achieve a target. These number of papers should be published. Instead of that, we should be having focus on refined, impactful research. There is no academia industry interface. In spite of government's too much initiative, the industry interface has not penetrated academics. So we are not looking at the real world problems. Whereas in developed countries, there is very much mingling about between academia and industry. Industry gives the problem to academia, and academia solves those problems. This is how the research is actually done. We are The next lacuna is that we are unable to produce graduates as per industry need. Now there is till date, there is a very big boom of artificial intelligence, machine learning, all those things. Government second part is giving too much boom into VLSI. Too much influx of funds are being given for VLSI, crores and crores of funds. So, in spite of giving fund, we are unable to have that large number of skill set which is required. Ineffective teaching learning system. So we have to revise our teaching learning systems, how we will be able to effectively deliver our concepts to the students, to the audience, to the stakeholders. Now the here the word till in traditional education system, we were just focusing on the students, but now in the refined NEP 2020, we are just not focusing only on the students. We are talking about stakeholders, and in stakeholders, it is everyone. It is student, it is faculty, it is the parents of the students, it is the industry, it is a whole ecosystem. I am talking about a whole ecosystem which is related to education, industry, employment, everything. So these are the lacking places, lacuna in the current education system, and we need to refine these things. So the National Education Policy (NEP 2020) was envisioned, and this National Education Policy, it envisions an education system rooted in Indian ethos that contributes directly to transforming India, that is Bharat, sustainably into an equitable and vibrant knowledge society by providing high quality education to all and thereby making India a global knowledge superpower. So here, few things are of, in fact, each word is important, but few things I would like to highlight is that we are we are looking for globalization, but we are not forgetting our roots, our Indian roots. So we want an education system which will have, which can be delivered with Indian values and Indian language, which the word is Indian ethos. And we, second important part is sustainable. We want a circular economy, we want a sustainability, vibrant knowledge society. It should not be restricted only to one particular area. It should be uh, it the knowledge should come from all these streams. In traditional education system, we have a very classified. Okay, your 10th is done, and after 10th, what subjects are you taking? Arts, commerce, or science? Here the student are totally divided. They have to choose after 10th where they want to go, and then they have to go forward in that particular area. Whereas NEP 2020, it envisions that it should have vibrant, it should have a mix of all the things that a person wants to learn. He does not, he wants a mixture of two particular arts and science. Yes, it is fine. He wants a mixture of science and commerce. It is fine. So it should be the whole ecosystem of of education needs to be refined, and that refinement has been given in NEP 2020. So next is, we should be talking about what are the elements of NEP 2020. So the first and foremost element is outcome based education. And this outcome based education is the motto and objective of our 5D FDP also. So we would be talking in great detail about outcome based education. we would be trying to understand. You have already learned a lot, no doubt about it. You have already learned why, what is outcome based education. I was listening to one of the lectures. He was also talking, professor was started off that who is the father of OBE. He has even given that Dr. William Spady was the father of outcome based education, and this term was coined way back in 35 years ago in 1988. So what the father of OBE wanted, that Mr. William attempted in enhancing the quality of the educational ecosystem by introducing outcome based approaches. And this approaches will, he had envisioned it will bring a revolutionary change in education sector. So unlike the traditional way of teaching and learning, this outcome based education focuses on mapping and measuring and achieving predetermined educational goals. So, here we would be having how to map, how to measure. Uh, After measuring, have we achieved our educational goals? And these educational goals would not be only limited to academics, no. It would also include many attributes like problem analysis and solving. It will be, we should be able to simplify complex learning methods. Means instead of learning a very complex thing, we should be able to simplify those into smaller parts and then analyze it. We should be able to have individual work as well as teamwork, because in industry, teamwork is very important. Means you will be given a task, but that task will be coming in conjunction with other team members also. So those things, professionalism will be required, communication skills will be required, lifelong learning will be required. So this was the vision of Mr. Williams Spady. Now, so first element will be our education based outcome based education. Next will be emphasis on creative potential of individuals. So here, instead of rote learning, there will be problem solving. There will be creative aspect also. So those things will be needed to be covered. Then comes Indian knowledge system. Uh, Here at NIT Kurukshetra, we have a particular separate cell. At IT Delhi also, we have a separate cell for Indian knowledge system. And what happens is, IT Delhi was proposing that all the education which we are delivering at the moment, I am speaking in English, but many of the students are not comfortable in English because it is not their mother tongue. They have not been educated in 10th and 12th in this English language. So the lectures were being recorded by the professors in Indian languages also. Apart from this, here at NIT Kurukshetra, we have a separate unit. We follow NEP 2020. Fine. So here, when our syllabus was being revised, all the syllabus were having 3, 4, 5 units. So we were given very clear cut instruction that the last unit in any syllabus designing should be given for this Indian knowledge system. So what was the India's contribution? How are, you must have heard about Vedic maths. You must have heard about in everywhere Indians have contributed. So that we are to confer to this NEP 2020, we have a separate unit in each subject which actually aligns with this Indian knowledge system. So this was the third point. Fourth point is flexibility to choose from multiple options. I will be talking about this multiple options after few slides in great detail when I will be talking about outcome based education. And multidisciplinary approach to ensure unity and integrity of knowledge. So, when I was talking about that, yes, we do not have to have a separate section for arts, science, commerce, and inside science also physics, chemistry. No, there will be multidisciplinary. Interdisciplinary is the future. Even by my own example, I'm an engineering student. I was an engineering student. After engineering, I took in the stream of electronics and communication. But was I defined to it? No. After that, eh, along with engineering, we were also given task of extracurricular activities. In PhD, my sir, way back 10 years back when I started my PhD, he very clearly told that the only way to survive is to go interdisciplinary. You should have your knowledge and you should explore your knowledge. My domain is signal processing. Now, the signal processing can be applied in mechanical engineering also, in civil engineering also. So, multidisciplinary is the future to sustain and grow in educational sector. So, these are the elements of NEP 2020. Other points are conceptual learning, multilingualism and mother tongue based education, use of technology in teaching learning process, light but tight regulatory mechanism, encouragement to true philanthropic private and community participation, focus on experimental learning from rote learning. So we are not focusing on rote learning. The person should be able to analyze, have critical thinking, all those things. Assessment focused on critical thinking rather than mere reproduction of facts and figures. And finally, no rigid separation between art, science, and humanities, extracurricular and extracurricular activities, vocational and academics. So these separation won't be there. These are the major highlights or elements of NEP 2020. So how is government trying to give a push to this? It is trying to introduce special education zones at the regions with large population from educationally disadvantaged, socio-economically disadvantaged groups. So first will be this solution. Then it is even thinking of replacing deemed to be university, affiliating technical university with simply university. There, the government is trying to propose a single umbrella for entire higher education system except medical and legal education. So instead of going to UGC, AICT, NCT, one body of higher regulation. And with this, there would be the aim would be to increase gross enrollment ratio in higher education, which is at in way back in 5 years back, it was 26.3%, and we want to achieve 50% by 2035. So, uh, at NIT Kurukshetra, when we are implementing eh, this NEP, we are also instead of giving a direct 4-year BTech, we are also trying to give multiple options to the students. So, NEP 2020, we will be soon implementing these things. So, if undergraduate course, this will be having multiple entry and multiple exit options also. At the moment in BTech, we have lateral option, means a student after diploma can get into second year, or if it is a fresh graduate, fresh student, a fresher after 12, he will go in first year. So at the moment, there are two entry levels in BTech and one exit option that he will complete his BTech degree only after he completes 4 years. But what NEP is trying to introduce, NEP is trying to introduce that there will be multiple entry options as well as multiple exit options. It is going to have ABC. I'll have that slide also. Academic bank credit system. It is still not in place, but discussions are going on how to have this academic bank credits so that a student can go from one university to another university. So an undergraduate course with multiple entry exit option, 1 year will be having certificate course, second year will be having diploma course, third year will be having bachelor degree, fourth year degree with research. So here they are trying to have various years entry and exit options. It is trying to restructure master's degree, 2 year course with second year completely research. So in MTech also we are having that in 1 year all the credits are there and the second year is completely research. 1 year only for those who finished 4 year degree courses. So we are having 5 year integrated bachelor's and master's degree also. So these are the things, NEP points which are there, which all the institutes are trying to comply. Your institute will be also thinking to comply on few of these things so that it is in correspondence with NEP 2020. There will be discontinuation of few courses, then there will be reorientation of PhD. PhD scholars will be required to take credit based courses in teaching, education, pedagogy, and writing. Instead of taking in this credit courses also, the students will be given the flexibility either to attend the class or to take class lectures from swam portal or in NPTEL courses, something of that sort. So the changes being uh, which are being thought are, there will be establishment of ABC, Academic Bank of Credits. As a small pioneer, we tried to patch up with other university, and a few credits were given from our university and few with IT Delhi also. So this was a pivotal was also taken place. But we are the NEP 2020 is not thinking about only two institutions. It is thinking about a whole country. All the universities in this country can go from one credit to another credit, so on and so forth. This academic bank of credits, digitally, we would be able to store digitally academic credits earned from various higher education institutions. There will be establishment and encouragement of departments such as languages, literature, music, philosophy, Indology, arts, dance, theater, education, mathematics, statistics, sociology, sports, etc. So there will be encouragement of these departments. Government is even thinking of establishing multidisciplinary education and research university, which would be at par with IITs and IIMs. And this is done to attain highest global standard. We have research and teaching collaboration with high quality foreign university. These is expected and it is being encouraged. I am damn sure your universities, your colleges would be thinking about MOU with various national and international university because this is encouraged. There is high performing Indian universities permitted to set up campuses in foreign countries. So it was a news that IT Madras has already established its campus in foreign countries. It has already established its Dubai campus. So this is a part of NEP 2020 mission. This is a part of globalization. This is a part of making India's education system global. So the next change we are expecting is that by 2030, 4-year B.Ed will be minimum qualification for teachers' job. There will be a national mission for mentoring of students. So in higher education, we already have that for the weak students, faculty is being assigned. So this is done only at the at the institute level. That policy of mentoring students is even projected for national level also. So the highlights of changes in higher education NEP 2020, I'm just revising that it enables an individual to study one or more specialized area of interest at a deep level. There will be multidisciplinary education, multidisciplinary university, HIE cluster, knowledge hubs, etc. There will be revamping of curriculum to suit 21st century needs and skills such as creativity, critical thinking, problem solving, collaboration, etc. Introduction of innovative pedagogical tools would be there. There will be establishment of National Research Foundation. There will be light but tight single regulator of higher education. That is, there will be unification of regulatory bodies that UGC, AICTE, NCTE, and these will be emerged to form one particular body. The classification of higher education institutions as research intensive universities, teaching intensive universities, autonomous degree granting colleges, those are the classifications. As we have here faculty from various backgrounds, I'm not sure about other streams, but as I'm from engineering, so what we have that government is proposing that all the IITs will be research intensive university, and all the NIT will be 50-50. Uh, Means teaching will also be encouraged over here, and all the state colleges will be totally teaching intensive universities. So they are trying to divide higher education in these particular groups. And one major highlight will be that there will be introduction of open distance learning and online education. So these would be our highlights. So at the moment, we have already learned about NEP 2020, and we have seen that one major part of NEP 2020 is that we need to have outcome based education. Now, before starting this, I'll just take a water break, just a few minutes. You also have water. Then we shall start with just 1 minute break. We shall start with our outcome based education, and we'll be talking about it. So, thank you. Now we shall be talking about outcome based education. And in this outcome based education, we uh, have already heard about, we have already learned about lot of factors in last 2 days. So, when we are talking about outcome, we are talking about what are the competencies, that is, abilities of the student, and we like to measure the quality of knowledge, what level of knowledge a person has attained. So for example, there are various we would be going on that slide also, that uh, when a topic is being taught, we go to fundamentals, we teach theory. After teaching theory, then comes the next part, that is how to apply that knowledge into our problem statement, in our real world problems. And when we achieve these outcomes, when we have these outcomes, then we have output. And how is output obtained? When we have degree, degree in BTech in electronics, or BBA, Bachelor's of Business Administration. So those are degrees. Those are outputs. So when we talk about competency, it is defined as the ability acquired by students to meet educational demands of the society. Now, when I'm talking about demands of the society, we have already learned about NEP 2020. So, till now, you must have figured out that what one of the, if I ask you, what was the prime reason of implementing NEP 2020? There are various reasons, but one of the most important and urgent reason is unemployment. And we want to have uh, the unemployment, to eradicate unemployment. A typical what happens to the typical education system is that teachers and student, they spend this 40 hours of lecture time and effort in particular subject, and those subjects are usually on a theoretical aspect. Now, this particular focus, which was only about theoretical aspects, if it would have been gone to a practical aspect also, then there would have been a lesser number of unemployment. Every parent here in this NEP 2020, the word stakeholder is not confined only to one person, only to students. No, even the students' parents are also a stakeholder. Why? Because the whole amount of parents' hard-earned money is spent on their children's studies. So parents are also stakeholder, students are also stakeholder, the faculties who are teaching, who are giving in hard work, those are also stakeholders. So these two, um, all the stakeholders, if we are talking about unemployability, the to decrease the employment, to increase the employment ratio, we should be having, we need to bridge the gap between industry requirements and the curriculum, so that we have the required skill set. So you know that this unemployment ratio is very high, very high. It is around 30%. And this is actually a shocking thing, because if we don't improvise our education now, then it is going to impact further. So besides gaining academic knowledge, students also need to have skills and practical experience that would help them to grow in their career. So what is, so what what does it need? So it needs to carry out a task successfully based on different assessments. That assessment will have cognitive as well as non-cognitive dimensions also. So what will be the outcome? The outcome will be qualification versus competency. Those these two are totally different. Can you understand that my degree, my qualification is BTech, but I don't have the required competency. I have that degree, but I don't have that particular knowledge what was required to cater to the industry demands out of that my BTech degree. So that is my competency that is required. Apart from we need degree as well as skill set. What I mean to say, we need qualification as well as competency. Both are required to have this increase in employment ratio. Then acquisition of knowledge versus utilization of knowledge. This is when we have theoretical study, we acquire our knowledge, but are we able to apply that knowledge? Are we able to utilize that knowledge? So these are very important aspects. So once it we are able to utilize that aspect, we, we need to assess it. We need to understand, our teacher should be able to assess it by various other means, and that point I'm going to cover, that how, whether you have acquired the knowledge or not, and whether you are able to utilize that knowledge or not. Next point is knowledge synergy with skill inculcation. This is important. Now let us talk about important aspects of learning, outcome based education. I think that in last 2 days you must have heard about these particular things. In case you have missed out, I'm just giving a small uh, revision. So, course is defined as theory or practical or theory cum practical subject studied in a semester. So, for example, in first year of engineering, we have engineering mathematics, engineering physics, engineering chemistry. Engineering mathematics is totally theory subject. It will not have a practical component in it. Whereas engineering physics and in engineering chemistry, it will have theory as well as practical subject. And give me a last example, that this C language. Once the theory has, C language won't be correct. For example, project in third semester. This project course will be a totally practical based subject. The credits will be there, but those credits will be of practical. So we have already defined a particular course. Now, when we have course, that course will have course outcome. Course outcome are statements that describe significant and essential learning that learners have achieved and can reliably demonstrate at the end of course. Generally, there are three or more course outcomes that may be specified for each course based on its weightage. Now, the next term is program. Program is defined as specialization or discipline of degree. So, it is interconnected arrangement of courses, co-curricular, extracurricular activities to accomplish predetermined objectives leading to the awarding of a degree. For example, BSc Home Science. So, this program word is different from department. For example, my college name is National Institute of Technology Kurukshetra. My department name is Electronics and Communication. And inside department of electronics and communication, there are various programs that are being run. UG level programs and PG level programs. So in UG level also, there are two particular BTech which is being offered. So that is a program. BTech in Electronics and Communication Engineering. One program. BTech in Industrial IoT. Second program. In UG, MTech in Electronics and Communication Engineering, one program. MTech in VLSI, second program. So these are the programs, and inside each program there will be courses. These are not fixed number of courses. No, the course, there will be some core courses. Those core courses are mandatory, which a student needs to learn, and then there will be elective courses that the student can choose which course he needs to learn, and there will be some fixed amount of credits that a student need to finish in 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, so that he can attain a degree. So that will be qualification. Now, I have already talked about qualification. Now, let us talk about this competency. Now, how are we going to check competency? So, yes, let me finish about the important aspects of outcome based education. So, these points you must have heard about it. I'm just revising it because I'm revising it because this would be required for implementing NEP 2020 in your institute. So, program outcomes. So, when a program is being run, there will be a program outcome. That program outcomes are narrower statements that describe what students are expected to be able to do by the time of graduation. So, POs are expected to be aligned closely with the graduate attributes. Aptitudes are at point 7. So these their graduate attributes shall already be defined for a particular department, and those will be in conjunction, closely aligned with our program outcomes. So next point is program educational objectives, PEOs. The program educational objectives of a program are the statements that describe the expected achievements of graduate in their career, and also in particular what the graduates are expected to perform and achieve during first few years after graduation. So when a student has achieved a degree, the industry will look at what PEOs you have achieved, your institute is offering, and then those POs will aligned with the industry needs. The next point is program specific outcome. The program specific outcomes are what the student should be able to do at the time of graduation with reference to a specific discipline. Usually there are 2 to 4 PSOs for a program. So, can you see the difference between POs and PSOs? POs is that after few years after graduation, what all things the student will be able to perform, because after graduation also the outcome based education is actually looking for a continued education. It is not looking that yes, once you have achieved your degree you have gone into a job. In job also you have to learn. So that learning will be based upon what you have learned in your degree, in your program. So program educational objective will be achieved during first few years, and program specific outcomes are usually at the date of graduation, what all things you have already learned. Okay, I have already covered graduate attributes. Usually, graduate attributes are 12 in number and are exemplar of the attributes expected of a graduate from an accredited program. So, in today's curricular framework, hello. So, in today's curricular framework, we are talking about programs, which is degree, which we are talking about courses, which in our local language we say papers. We are thinking about modular and unitized learning. So the syllabus will be in modular form. Like I told you that when we are designing our syllabus, we have particular modules, we have particular units. Instead of units, you can say modules also. But in our institute, we call it units. So in particular course, we have unit 1, unit 2, unit 3, unit 4. Unestablished is usually 4, but you can go to 5 also, not an issue. And that the last unit will be for Indian education system. That is expected. Then, whenever we are organizing a curriculum, the syllabus and curriculum is designed and outlined, keeping in mind the end goal. The faculty gets provision to mold the content as per their students' requirement. So we have that flexibility also. The student skills enhancement is also given importance. So in student-centric teaching, learning approach, the students develop and polish these skill sets. So whenever we are designing, we have to keep in mind all these things. So, whenever we have a course, whenever we are designing a course for NEP, we have a different section also that will be what are the test books and references and e-resources that are usually expected. So, these all things, these all homework or task is done during designing itself. When we are designing a course for our MBA accreditation is also done for this whole thing. So, if you have your MBA accreditation at your university or college, then you must have already heard about all these things. We have learning outcomes and outcome based assessments also. So, when we are talking about qualification and competency, so competency, we need to understand how much competent the person is. So, that competency was is checked by outcome based assessments. So how are we going to assess it? So there is a particular Bloom's taxonomy, and whenever we are preparing question, we have to prepare the question paper based on these Bloom's taxonomy. So this particular pyramid go from down. So the first part is whenever we are designing a question paper, we have some components of remembering. This remembering part, we will learn that how the questions will be talking about the exact points which needs to be remembered. So, for example, if I have a particular microprocessor, so how many bytes will be are there in this particular microprocessor? 8085. How many bits will be there? So those points need to be remembered. So because these are fundamental things. Once after remembering, there will be few questions on understanding whether I have understood the concept or not. So, for example, if I have a microprocessor question, I'll ask the student that in this particular microprocessor, if we have to give this particular instruction, how much space will it be required? So that person, if he understands how many bits were there and he's able to apply, then those questions will be solved. So those understanding will be there. The next is applying. Whenever you have a particular concept, you need to apply. So those questions will be having applying, analyzing. Whenever a problem statement is given, you should be able to analyze. The student will be able to solve that question only and only if he is able to analyze. He must know the fundamentals, he must know how to apply it, he must know how to analyze it. So this is a top tier question, one of the most top tier question. He must then comes evaluating and then creating. So evaluation also, you need to evaluate something or you need to create a particular for example, a question is given that create a high pass filter for my signal processing algorithm. So my specifics will be given that this much hertz of frequency should be filtered out and you should be able to uh, pass out the rest ones. So whatever question is there, the student should be able to create an algorithm all by himself. So this Bloom's taxonomy needs to be implemented to have any sort of question paper as per our OBE, as per our OBE requirements. So, according to the revised Bloom's taxonomy, the levels in cognitive domains are as follows. So, we had seen that we have cognitive and non-cognitive domains. So, here we are talking only about cognitive domain. And like I told you, level one, we were going from downstairs. So, level one was remembering. What is the level of attainment? It was recalling from memory of the previously learned information. Then was understanding. Here, the level was that explaining ideas or concepts. Next comes applying. So we are using the information in another familiar situation. So that is how we are applying that particular theoretical question to solve our problem. Next comes analyzing. That is, we are breaking information into parts to explore understanding and relationships. Next level is evaluating. That is, we are justifying a decision or course of action. And the last and the topmost level is creating. That is, we are generating new ideas and products or new ways of viewing things or development. So these are the various levels. Those are according to our Bloom's taxonomy. So question paper needs to be according to this Bloom's taxonomy, and that is how we will be able to assess. Assessment can be of direct or indirect. I'm coming to that point. So at least by this, you should be able to have a little bit idea that yes, question papers needs to follow Bloom's taxonomy, and the learning levels will be going from level one, which is remembering, to having the highest number, that is creating. So in in these levels, the lowermost levels usually remembering, understanding, applying, these can be done in fixed hour examinations. So fixed hour examinations, we can ask them to apply a few things. We can ask them whether we are remembering or not remembering. But creating, evaluating, all these things, they need to do through innovative projects. And there should be some mini project, major project, minor project, capstone project, assignments. So these assessment of higher learning levels will be through these projects. Now, let us talk about methods of assessment. So, these methods of assessment, whenever we are talking that my particular, I am following OBE, and outcome based education is our objective. We want to follow, we need to have accreditation from NBA, and this NBA needs outcome based education, and we also want to have NEP 2020 rules to be followed. So this assessment, how do we expect this assessment? So these assessments methods are there. So what are the assessment methods? The assessment methods are the strategies, techniques, tools, instruments for collecting information to determine the extent to which students demonstrate desired learning outcomes. So there are several methods should be used to assess student learning outcomes. This is called as SLO, student learning outcomes. So the assessment methods, we need to focus on these also. So what are the direct and indirect methods of assessment? The direct methods of assessment ask student to demonstrate their learning, while indirect methods ask student to reflect on their learning. Reflection is very important because if we have rote learning, we have learned something, two ones are two, two twos are four, but when we are giving an application of that particular, that if we have two persons and we want to give two mangoes to each person, how many mangoes need to be there? So that reflection, that critical thinking needs to be, we want the students to reflect on those learnings. So how can it be done? Test, essays, presentation, etc. are generally direct method of assessment. If we give them a task that, for example, what are the, for example, I give you a task that yes, you are a faculty, and just give a reflection. So, how will you do? You will do by presenting it, or you will write an essay. So, these are usually direct methods of assessment. What are the indirect methods? Indirect methods include surveys and interviews, etc. So, what are the methods? The methods should be mature. The methods are mature is actually from M for matches, that it aligns with the outcome to be measured. A, appropriate. Choose appropriate method. T, targets. Indicates desired level of performance. Useful. Will provide you with useful and usable information. Methods help identify which are already effective and what can be improved. Reliable. Based on tested known methods and yield consistent result over time. And finally, effective and efficient. Each approach accurately and concisely measures the outcome. So, these methods, what I'm talking about, direct and indirect methods, should have these particular dimensions into that. It should be having, it should match, it should align, it should be appropriate. The target should be achieved, it should be useful, it should be reliable, it should be effective and efficient. So, this thing has been adapted from this particular link. This handbook actually talks about how direct and indirect methods can be applied. So, we have already learned about Bloom's taxonomy and we will be following that. So, direct methods. Now, let us talk about direct methods. So, direct methods are locally developed tests or test questions, and there will be rubrics for evaluating essays and papers. So, whenever we have defined rubrics and we have to follow that. We need to map how many students have achieved uh, the program objectives. So those program education objectives, PAOs and PSOs have been achieved or not, and for measuring this, rubrics has been, course outcomes have been achieved or not. So those attainments needs to be done. So there will be rubrics, then there will be lab work. So it is a direct method. Then there will be exam questions. There will be capstone projects. There will be exhibitions. There will be performance and presentation. Then portfolios of the student work, comprehensive exams, standardized tests, certificate exam. All these things will be under direct method. What are the indirect methods? These are usually surveys. So the most popular one is survey. So survey will be done of the student. Uh, in fact, feedback, it is the most important. Means as a student at IT Delhi, we were not given certificate or marks was not displayed on the screen unless and until feedback was given. So feedback of the faculty was very crucial for them. They always wanted to improve their learnings. So survey of alumni. Once the student has passed out and he has achieved the job, what are the challenges they are facing? So alumni, the challenges and the survey questions pertaining to those things, that how is it from alumni as well as employers. So these surveys were important. Then there was were exit interviews. Hello. Uh, so there are exit interviews, there are focus groups, there are job placement rates, there are course evaluations. So these are indirect methods to understand whether course outcome has been achieved or not. So with this assessment, I would like to end our lecture. But before that, I would like to say that yes, adapting OBE will be a little bit challenging because there are various factors. To be truthful, there are various factors like managing records of students. Manually, it is very tough. So we have high stacks of all the manual records. Then designing of curriculum requires effort. Then we have vast student database, which is very draining task. We means our whole month usually goes into this. Then we have to keep a tab on daily student activities and programs. This is tough. We have to prioritize the weightage of different assessment. This is tough. Then we have to map COs and POs. So all these things are usually challenging. So with this, I would like to say that even though it is challenging for us as faculties, but we need to adapt to outcome-based education for NEP 2020 and for NBA accreditation. So this will be the requirement of coming education sector. With this, I would like to conclude. Thank you. Questions, please. Hello.
Hello, participant, do you have any questions? Can you please ask to the man? Anyone has questions to ask to the man? Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. I I extend our heartfelt
So,
gratitude to Dr. Nanapriya ma'am for this gracing us with their enlightening presence as our esteemed speaker today, and especially very thankful. Thank you for your time, wisdom, and inspiration talks today. We are very we learned a lot from your talk today. Thanks a lot from our side, ma'am.
thank you, ma'am. I would like to answer Dr. Shankar Singh. He has
Okay, ma'am.
put a message that how can we make attainment simple? Any software. So, sir, in government institutes like you and mine, it is very difficult to have any particular software. We are simply using Excel sheet. If you get to know any particular software, please do inform me also because we are also facing the same challenges. So I hope, yes, any faculty, anybody knows about any software, please put it in the chat
Sure,
group. We would love to learn about those softwares. It is
sure,
actually draining and it is very challenging for us faculties. Thank you, sir.
sure. Thank you.
Um, Yes. So next question is by Asha Ramesh. How is including curriculum design for students with various disabilities, ma'am? So we usually actually for the students at NIT Kurukshetra who are visually impaired. So, for visually impaired, there is a provision for extra timing and for a script writer also. And for learning, they have all the lectures. So, the apart from coming to classrooms, they also learn, they are given extra course means actually when we have student of visually impaired, we give them lectures that you need to listen to these particular lectures, recorded lectures, they learn from those things. And in curriculum design we don't separate them, we do not have them that yes you are impaired by something or you are challenged. We usually use the term challenged. So 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 whenever they have, so for visually impaired persons, we give 1 year, 1 hour extra, and we give them course lectures which they can read to, they can listen to. And for limbs, those have already wheelchair, so classrooms are given at the ground floor for them, so that they get a more accessible way. How about neurodiverse students? So, Shikha ma'am, I am not very sure about neurodiverse students. I have not particularly interacted with them because at NIT and IIT we have students from these days disabilities, but not of neuro because they need to have IEEE, IIT JEE entrance exam. So JEE exam usually are cracked by students. Even they may be having low rank, but they will be having some rank about it. So I'm sorry about neurodiverse students. Anything else? So I hope no other further questions are there.
Yes, Mr. Vinod has raised a hand.
Okay, Asha Ramesh ma'am has said that Steve Jobs is an example of neurodiverse people. Okay, thank you for the information. Actually, I am particularly not knowledgeable about it. So, thank you for sharing the information.
If there's no more end of question, we can close the session. Kasturi ma'am?
Yeah, sure, ma'am. Thank you. Um, Thanks a lot, Dr. Nanapriya ma'am. It is a grateful gratitude to Dr. Nanapriya ma'am for gracing this enlightened present as an esteemed speaker today, and immensely grateful for the invaluable knowledge you have shared with us. Once again, thanks a lot for your time, wisdom, and inspiration to us. Finally, I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to our organizing team and their hard work and dedication to our FDP program. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, ma'am, for joining us.
Thank you, everyone. It was a wonderful session. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Uh, Good afternoon, good morning, all of you. So, thanks for your presence. And next session will start exactly at 11:45. So, please stay online. We'll meet exactly at 9:45. Please don't quit. Stay in YouTube link, and we'll meet at 11:45. Thank you, and have a nice day.
Hello. Good morning, everybody. Can you able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
The charge போட்டு
Professor sir, Ravindra sir, good morning.
Good morning, Professor Lakshmiji. Can you able to hear me and see me?
Yes sir, good morning.
All right. Thank
Thanks for
you.
joining us.
It's a pleasure.
Kasturi ma'am,
ma'am.
I think how many participants are?
I think it's 54, ma'am. Totally 54.
We should start.
Yeah, sure. Hi, sir. Happy morning, everyone here. It's my great pleasure to welcome you all to the Days of FDP program. We are privileged to have with us an expert. I'm really immense pleasure to introduce our chief guest, Professor Dr. Ravindra Rena, sir. Hi, sir. Happy morning. Professor Dr. Ravindra Rena is a profound academician and distinguished scholar in economics, writer, editor, advisor, and motivational speaker and public intellectual with over 31 years of teaching and research experience in Asian Pacific, Africa, and European continents. He has been an independent consultant and training expert, and Professor Reina is currently working as a professor of economics at Faculty of Management Science, Durban University of Technology, Republic of South Africa. He serves as a visiting professor at the Academy of Engineering and Management, People Friendship University, Moscow, Russia. He also served as a visiting professor at the Department of World Economy Faculty of Economics, Petersburg State University, Russia. He also served as an adjunct professor of economics at Monash Business School, Switzerland, and as an adjunct professor at the Department of Entrepreneurship and Business Management at South Africa. Further, he worked as a visiting professor for many Indian universities, notably Sri University, Kotak, and visiting professor at Aspash Global Business School, New Delhi. Besides, Professor Dr. Reina serves as an honorary country director, South Africa for the International Internship University and Igniting Teams of Youngville University, India. He acts as a president, South Africa for an SO Can International UK. He also serves as a global president, economic affairs of an All India Sustainable Development Council. He is an advisor to the Vitri Innovation Private Limited, project leader at NWU Business School, Northwest University, South Africa. He served as a professor of the economics at the Department of Economics, University of the South Cape Town, South Africa. He also served as a professor and the coordinator of the Joint American Master's Program. And he also worked as an head of the economics, the Department of Business Studies at New Guinea University of Technology, and he also served as a professor at the Institute of Technology at Etria. Professor Dr. Reina earned his PhD from the Department of Economics, Hyderabad, India, and achieved as a university gold medalist at a candidate and thesis in the field of economics. He obtained his MA, BA, MPhil, PhD from Osmania University, and BA and LLB at University of Vragal, India. He had been bagged many awards and prizes. To name a few, he had obtained the award Eklavya Award at 2030 by the International Council of Education, Research and Training in India. He received the Olympus International Award 2023 for Human Empowerment. He also received the prestigious Best Research Award from Durban University of Technology in 2022 and 2023 with gold medal. And he had got a Best Researcher 2011 from Namibia University of Science and Technology, and is also a recipient of the esteemed award Man of the Year 2012, which was bestowed upon him for the American Biological Institute. And Professor Reina has won several national and international awards through his career. Based on his extraordinary research contribution, the American Historical Society USA has enlisted his profile in the World Who is Who International. He serves as a chairman of the panel of judge for economics of the Global Undergraduate Award based in Dublin, Ireland, United Kingdom. He wrote 10 books and published more than 150 articles in reputed national and international reviewed journals and 50 book chapters of his to his credit. Besides, he has published more than 150 articles in newspaper, magazines, and websites and presented over 60 papers at national and international conferences and seminars. He visited more than 300 colleges and universities across the globe. Dr. Professor Reina's profile was featured in the Global Achievers magazine in July 2021 as one of the top 10 social leaders who inspire, and his interview and research work has been featured in leading media outlets across the globe. He also is one of the resource person for BRICS research forums and international conferences in South Africa, India, Brazil, and Russia. Dr. Professor Reina is currently serving as the editor for the Economics and Finance Letters journals published by Beam, and he also served as an associate editor, The Bottom Line, and the journal published by the Emerald and UK. Journal of Liberty and International Affairs published by the Institute for Research and European Studies, also the journals Index in the Scopus and Web of Science. He is also the founder of the editor-in-chief of International Journals of Education, Economics and Development, published by International Journal of Science, Technology, Innovation, Development, published by Taylor and Francis UK. Currently serves as a journal advisor board. These two journals are IBSS and Scopus Index Journal. He served as an editor and editorial board member for more than 35 reputed journals. He has been a keynote speaker and resource person for more than 200 national and international conferences in Europe, America, Africa, and Asian continents. As of June 2020, his author rank is 6904 out of 1756864 of the Social Science Research Network USA, in which he is among the top 1% researchers in the world. His Google Scholar citation 1500, High Index 24, I10 Index 46. Dr. Professor Reina is armed with an in-depth understanding and thriving on extensive knowledge of global economic and social issues. He had widely written in the area of economics of education, development economics, and inclusive growth, globalization, higher education, microfinance, rural entrepreneurship, WTO, clean technology, and sustainable development in Africa. He supervised over 60 PhDs, MPhils, and Masters this and dissertation across the globe. He served as a many academic professional committees as chairman and panel members. He has also been a economist and moderator masters and at different universities in North America, Latin America, and Austria. He traveled over to 40 countries in the world.
So the session is yours. There's some network issue with the.
Hi, sir. Start our
Colleagues,
session taken care of by our
colleagues,
expert, Professor Dr. Ravindra Rena. Sorry for the inconvenience, sir. Thank you, sir. Expert, Professor Dr. Ravindra Rena. Sorry for the inconvenience, sir. Thank you, sir.
did you finish? Okay, thank you very much, colleagues. Dr. Kasturi and Professor Dr. Selva Lakshmi and all other colleagues who put the efforts together to bring us to this platform this morning. I also would like to thank the college, Velammal College of Engineering and Technology, Madurai based in India. Maheshwari ji, can you just mute yourself? You're talking in between. Yeah, thank you. Well, I also would like to acknowledge the contribution of the other associated institution from Pune, management institution from Pune. Indeed, it's a great pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, to be part of this particular faculty development program. And the topic that was chosen today is the outcome based education, where the question paper matters and how the paper helps in the measurement process in education. So that is the basic point that we're going to discuss about. Uh, I would like to touch upon as part of the introduction. I would like to state some of my perspectives, some of my views about the education, and then we would go to the particular topic per se. So, whenever I talk education, education is always close to my heart, and I mean, major portion of my life I spent in education. Whether it's in India or outside India, and while studying or by teaching and so on and so forth. So probably we will also have engage more discussions, more probably question and answer sessions once I complete my probably presentation as such. I don't normally use PowerPoints, but yesterday I had to use PowerPoint for this particular purpose, which I'm going to share it a little bit later. I'm not a fan of using PowerPoints because I always believe that if you don't have a point, you use the PowerPoint. If you have a point here in your mind, you don't need PowerPoints at all. But the PowerPoints will make all of us lazy and brainless and things like that. But anyway, I'm not going to open the discussion part here, ladies and gentlemen. And so let me say something about education. What is education actually, and how that education helps? What is the meaning of education, and how we see the education in today's world? We all know that education has got it is the strongest pillar, and it is the cornerstone of socio-economic development process in the whole world. And such an education has been there for many centuries. If you look at the history, going back to the Greece and then Indians and probably many other countries that are also playing a vital role in the education sector over a period of time. I'm not going to touch the history of education here, but I just would like to touch upon some of the salient features of education, where it comes from and how it started, and what are the philosophies of education, and so on and so forth. We have Socrates, we have Aristotle, we have Plato from the Greek philosophers, and they also contributed immensely for the philosophy of education or philosophy of life in general. And we also have a lot of Indian scientists and Indian philosophers. Uh, Dates back, Manusmriti, who contributed a lot for the uh, uh, medical sciences, and we also got Aryabhatta, who contributed for economics and political science, and we have Rabindranath Tagore ji, we have A.K. Sen ji, we have Abhijit Banerjee ji. There are so many other philosophers across the country. So the education evolved over a period of time, and what we see today, and we could able to see each other. Although I'm in South Africa, more than 10,000 kilometers far away from you, and you are in different parts of India, but I could able to at least talk to you with this virtual platform, and that is what is education for us actually, maybe the digital education that we call it today. So the education has been changed a lot. It has been changing a lot, particularly for the past 1.5 decades with the advent of internet revolutions and the digital technologies, chat GPT, and also we are talking about artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, and various other things that are coming up, cloud technologies, and so on. So this education has got the power, and that's why we call it a weapon, or it can be a powerful tool that can be used to change this world, the face of this world today. And that's why people could able to go to what do you call the space technologies, and with the space technology space they could able to go to the moon landing and to different other space areas. Where I was in Russia a couple of months ago, I could able to see the Yuri Gagarin, the dress that he was wearing, and the plane that he was using in 1960, I think 62 or so. And Valentina Tereshkova, there was a very big space museum in Moscow. So these are the changes that are occurred. We never ever thought that education could able to take us to that level, and that was done by Russians long time ago in 60s already. And India also, not inferior, India is also in the forefront, and it does its best last year August. We also have significant landmark in the space technologies. So this is all, we have a lot of things that have been changing in engineering, technology, science, innovation, and various other areas. So the education contributed a lot to make our life easier, better, and also probably more comfortable, and so on. So, and this education, according to Nelson Mandela, the father of South Africa, the founding president of South Africa, once he mentioned in his book, The Long Walk to Freedom, where he categorically mentioned that education is a powerful tool where it can change the lives of anybody. For instance, a farmer child can become the president of a nation. And probably, if you look at Indian history or South African history or many countries' history, one way or the other way, the farmer children also became the president of those countries, respective countries. And a rickshaw puller's son can become an IAS officer or a bureaucrat, a powerful bureaucrat or a director general, or any other position actually. And a scavenger's son can also become a manager of a company or a CEO of a company. And so education, a driver's son also could become somebody, a medical doctor. And probably a servant maid son also can become an engineer, and so on. So education has given this power to every individual across the globe, that get able to change themselves. Also, whatever contribution that they could able to make, they could able to make through the education part. So that we can imagine that education is a very powerful instrument where it can change the lives of so many people. We keep on reading in mass media, in the newspapers and in the TVs frequently that a rickshaw puller's son became the IAS or IPS officer in India, and so on. So that is the beauty of education. And just 1 second, sorry. And so, therefore, ladies and gentlemen, that education has got a deep-rooted kind of values all over the world, and particularly with regard to Indian education, that we have we value more education than anywhere in the world. The reason being, I'm telling that I've been to different parts of the world, different continents of the world. I could able to see, experience that. We Indians see education differently and than other people. Of course, for the past maybe 2 decades in India, the private sector education is ruling India, and where the number of universities they're almost exceeding the public sector institutions, public sector universities in the country. And that the face of India is changing, whether positively or negatively, that we're going to discuss probably a little later. So, although that's why in our Indian ethology, in mythology, we say that uh, Matru Devo Bhava, that is your mother is your first goddess, and Pitru Devo Bhava is your father, is your also god, and then the third one is none other than your teacher, Acharya Devo Bhava, and that is your teacher is like a god for you. And Atithi Devo Bhava is a, your guest is also God for you. So these are the four strong pillars that Indian system of culture, heritage, and the education, the values are being based actually. And if you come to South Africa, probably where I was in Papua New Guinea, I was in many other African countries and so on, and Switzerland. That is not the case. In fact, so guru is seen not as a guru of Indian context, but differently. And so maybe like a friend or a mentor and an advisor and so on. Of course, the guru he is, but nonetheless. So, ladies and gentlemen, the education has been changed. This kind of perspectives, and it's been keep changing. From time to time on regular basis. And so, and when we look at the the teachers that play a role in the education sector, and absolutely it's vital, and that's why the teachers have been well much recognized, and even the president Ram Govind was touching the feet of his own teachers while he was being the president of the country. So that is the power of education. And I can also quote when Shankar Dayal Sharma, who was our former president, while he was visiting Oman Republic, and where I was there about 6 months ago. And so Omani president of that time, he could able to come to the airport, and he could sit in the driver's seat, and he could drive the car, being the president of the nation, such a powerful seat and such a respectable seat. But he make himself as a driver, because in front of a teacher, a student is always a student. So that is the power of education. That's why we always have that power of education, where a student, being the president of a country, could able to drive our own president, Dr. Shankar Dayal Sharma, because he was a professor at University of Pune long time ago, where that particular president was the student there. So these are the things we can take lots of examples, ladies and gentlemen, and so on and so forth. So this is the power of education. Now we do have, of course, teachers of different categories. Not all the teachers are the same. You're also teachers with different years of experience, maybe 5 years to 10 years, or 20 years, or 30 years, and so on. So teachers vary, and we do have our own families. We have our own kind of ways we do things, and also we also have to engage ourselves with this education, our duties. When we engage ourselves, we can identify four categories of teachers that throughout my career, while I was studying in India and in institutions, that I could able to pick up, and I could able to still remember some of my teachers who taught me in the primary school and the secondary school and colleges and probably university and so on. So we do have those four categories of teachers. Unfortunately, we have we have large number of teachers that are falling into the first category, where we don't want to see that category actually. So that is why we say that a mediocre teacher, or an average teacher, just tells. So he doesn't prepare himself, he doesn't read much, he does just wanted to show his performance as a teacher because he's paid for it. So he just come and tells whatever is there in the curricula, or probably textbook, and so on and so forth. Whether you read yourself as a one of the learners, or probably the teacher may be making no significant contribution, just except his physical appearance and so on. So he just tells. And the second category, these are the large number of teachers in India or in the world. Unfortunately, we have major portion of the teaching community, they are sitting this side of this particular category. So they're all average teachers, they're all mediocre teachers. They just don't want to work hard. They call themselves teachers, but they're worse than learners. So I'm sorry to say that, but that's what my experience, and you could also agree with me. And this is what is happening. Unfortunately, they are also being paid for, whether it's private or public sector or NGOs, whichever the case it is. But it is costly exercise, but it is costing the nation as well, because mediocre teacher doesn't contribute significantly to the education development and the quality aspects actually. But these are the large number of teaching community are sitting into the first category. Now the second category, ladies and gentlemen, is a good teacher explains. Probably we could find some little bit, a number of people that could able to uh, devote themselves, dedicate themselves for their profession day and night, and so they could able to prepare themselves, whether it is preparing for the class, or whether they are taking the practical examples in the class environment, or the way they prepare the question paper, and also they could able to engage with the students and mentoring them, guiding them, and so on and so forth. So this is the good teachers. There are good teachers still prevails. Of course, they've been there, they will be there, they are here, and many of you could be among the second category of teachers. And then the third category of teachers, ladies and gentlemen, is that a better teacher, he could able to demonstrate. So whatever he teaches, whatever subject teaches, whether it's physics, chemistry, mathematics, or biological sciences, or management sciences, or economic sciences, and so on, commerce, and so on. So whatever he does, he tried to demonstrate so that people could able to understand easily, and he could able to disseminate the knowledge, the power of knowledge and the insights easily to the particular students. So that is also rarely we find very few people on this planet, including Indian subcontinent and maybe South Africa and so on. So then the last category, ladies and gentlemen, very few, maybe in thousands and thousands of people, we find one or two people there, and that is the best teachers who inspires actually. So inspiration, probably in one way or the other, with their humility, with their utmost care and dedication, love and support, whatever the way that they could able to give, wholehearted dedication. Day and night they leave everything, their own sacrifices, their own comforts, their own lives, their own families, and their own social life. They keep on engaging, or they keep on exploring, and probably trying to learn more, and also have the best practices in teaching and learning process. So these best teachers are very rare to find. And so these are the four categories of teachers. The first category, we have significant numbers, probably I can say in terms of numbers, maybe about 70 to 80% of the people will sit in the first category. Maybe some of you may not agree with me, but that's the fact of the matter. The second category, probably about maybe 10%, and the other percent, probably another 5 or 6% for the who can able to demonstrate, and who are the better teachers. And the best teachers, probably rare to find, not even 1%, 2% people, and so on. So this is what the reality, sad reality, unfortunately, because if we do not provide a proper education to our students, and particularly in the private sector, ladies and gentlemen, the students' parents are been paying immense amount of money that you can't able to imagine. I know in the private colleges, many of our lecturers, colleagues, lecturers and senior lecturers are probably assistant professors and associate professors, or deans, directors, even the vice chancellors and pro vice chancellors. Ladies and gentlemen, they got paid only between 20,000 rupees to maybe 3 lakhs rupees or 5 lakhs rupees, somewhere there. It depends upon the institution. So you can imagine the fact that 20,000 rupees today's world in 2021st century in 2024, absolutely it's very minimal. And the teacher or the lecturer cannot able to meet the costs what he is incurring for his family, for his daily life, and so on and so forth. So life is tough actually, being a teacher. And so that is why the teachers, probably they should, there are some teachers or professors, they have to do multiple jobs in different corners of the world, or within the particular city where they, even Madurai or Chennai, or maybe Coimbatore, and anywhere. So they have to do multiple jobs just to make a normal living for themselves. So this is the sad reality. Although we have, even I was there in Zimbabwe last year October, and Zimbabwean situation is worse actually. Even some of my friends and colleagues who get paid being professors, deans, and directors, they get between 300 to 600, $650 per month salary. So that one can imagine the fact. If you go to Nigeria, some of my students also there, some of my PhD students, they are, even yesterday I was talking to one of my students, he was telling that he get paid probably about $150 per month. He's being a senior lecturer of one of the government universities. So these are the things that are happening, ladies and gentlemen. So the payment is one side, is also trying to demoralize the teaching community, and people in other part of the world, they look at the money more than the teaching and the values actually. That is another sad reality we have, but that's what is happening. So we can only change the world with our own value systems, with our own ethics, with our own morals, and whatever insights and wisdom that we have, we could able to make a little bit of change. But we cannot able to change the world as we see today, because everything is becoming money makes many things. Money has got the power, and it can probably create a lot of things. But at the same time, money is a beautiful servant, ladies and gentlemen, but it's a dangerous master at the same time. So if we could give more priority for the money, it could become your dangerous master. It could drive you to different other negative paths. And if you use that money as a beautiful servant, then it can serve your purpose. So, but unfortunately, like I was telling that, ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot of private institutions, private colleges. I was there in Delhi in December, and one of the institutions I don't like to name it here now. And those I was told that for BCom degree they are charging about 23 lakhs rupees for just BCom degree, and BBA they are charging about 54 lakh rupees. Imagine the fact that so this is how the private institutions is been minting the money at the cost of the students, parents, and also the teachers on the other side, because teachers are less paid. So I'm not going to go to all those details here, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to touch upon where we are standing in terms of this education. Now, remember the fact that we have the outcome based education, probably the new education policy that was enacted or probably started by the government of India for the past few years, and it started implementing since last year. What is happening actually? What is this outcome based education, and where we are standing in terms of the quality of education? So, ladies and gentlemen, now we are all teachers here, and we are all having PhDs, and we have master's degrees. We have so many qualifications, so much experience, so much wealth of knowledge we have. But outcome-based education is a student-centric education system where the student plays a vital role in the learning process. Unlike teacher used to play, and he's been or she's been playing a dominant role in every aspect, starting from classroom engagement. A teacher is the one who goes to the class and keep on teaching, and probably maybe an hour or probably 2 hours. Sometimes I used to teach 8 hours with a short break here and there. 8 hours teaching. When we have MBA students who are all working, we couldn't able to have the luxury of having classes every day and night, but we could able to have only a few weeks here and there, and we could run from Monday to Sunday right through 8 hours or even 10 hours also we used to teach. So this is what is happening in the classroom engagement. Most of the time, we could able to dominate, and we could able to teach what we know, and we do not able to teach what the students required to know. So this is also the sad reality. But many of us, learning is probably is not a child play, and it is the game that you need to keep playing throughout your life while you are a teacher. Because teacher is always, in my view, is a student more than a teacher, because he need to learn, and before he teaches. Without learning, probably he couldn't able to teach. No matter you have 30 years, 40 years experience, but still you need to learn so that you could able to engage, you could able to disseminate your knowledge and wisdom in a best possible manner. So therefore, ladies and gentlemen, that is why there's a saying which says that don't stop learning, because life never stops teaching you. So every single day you meet different people, every single day you have different experiences, every single day you act differently, because you learn every day from everybody that you meet in your life. So therefore, ladies and gentlemen, that learning is not confined only for the classroom environment, but outside the environment. That's why we say that learning, whatever learning takes place in the classroom environment, is only 25%. The remaining 25% you learn from your peers, your own probably fellow colleagues, and the third probably 25% coming from the environment, the location, probably the surroundings, wherever you are, and what you're observing and studying, and remaining 25% coming from your parents. So your parents also, they could contribute like what you're teaching and learning process taking place within your classroom environment. So learning take place in four different ways, and we need to then it becomes 100%. So therefore, ladies and gentlemen, it's not easy to learn, and easy to understand, and easy to disseminate what we learned. So those are the things that are very, very important in life. Now, when it comes to the reality of education, ladies and gentlemen, that the outcome outcome-based education has been started. Student-centric approach in South Africa, while I was in Namibia, and many other countries. So they begin to change the face of education, where you begin to dominate in the classroom. Major portion of the class engagement, we don't give any kind of interaction, because the problem of the matter is that we have a very thick maybe the books and the very thick curricula, number of chapters and units we need to complete in one semester or one academic year. And when we could able to complete that, we will be only focusing on how to complete the syllabus. We don't try to do all other practical kind of stories and probably practical maybe cases that we could able to give, and so that the students will engage with us. So in our 45 minutes or maybe 1 hour lecture that any professor is engaging with students. And unfortunately, we also have a lot of students. The largest student I taught 270 students in one class. And while I was in Cape Town, University of Western Cape, and for undergraduate student, 270 students sitting in one classroom environment, what you could able to disseminate. I was using Lapa mic and going around the corners. It was very difficult. So even in Indian scenario also, there could be, I was teaching probably last year in one of the private universities, just for maybe I was a visiting professor there. And I could able to have more than 100 students sitting in the class who are studying MBA actually. So these are the things that when you have a bigger classroom, when you are the only one, you could only able to speak and speak and speak, but you cannot able to take what the students has to say. So that is the problem actually. That's where the outcome-based education is always student-centric. It's not a teacher-centric education system, which we've been following through centuries for probably many, many years. And so that is need to be changed. And that's why the government of India could able to brought out a new education policy and begin to implement with a kind of a strong motto, where the outcome-based education. Now, with this outcome-based education, student what he has to do and what he wants to do, and what is the outcome, whatever he does within that particular learning process. So that need to be measurable. And how the measures will take place, ladies and gentlemen, we need to also understand that the measurement take place with the different tests and examinations, projects, probably many other various other group projects and group assignments that we could able to give. The tests can able to vary. What I studied more than 30 years ago, and whatever our students in India they are studying is by and large the same thing. So nothing has been changed. Probably they might be learning by the internet, by the computers. When I was student doing my master's degree, I don't know how the laptop looks like. I only know how the computer looks like, and I used to go to the computer lab at Osman University Department of Economics, and that was in a little bit far away from my classroom environment. I used to go especially to look at how the computer looks. And the computer is MS-DOS computer, ladies and gentlemen. The maximum capacity of the computer was 30 megabytes. So with 30 megabytes, you can imagine this phone has got 100 megapixel camera. So which means that if I take one picture, and that this picture cannot fit into that computer actually in the early 1990s, 1991, 92, somewhere there. So MS-DOS we were using for a long period of time. While I was doing my PhD also in 1990s, mid 1990s, and we were using basically dot matrix printers and old MS-DOS computers and so on and so forth. Now, laptop, I do not know how the laptop looks like, but most of the people, even the children, young babies, they could able to play with the laptop games and things like that. So things are changed a lot. Even a common man who could able to use the phone or a smartphone and a laptop and the computer technologies become much more easier. Probably more than 600 million people could able to in Indian subcontinent, where we have 1.42 billion people living in the country. Majority of them could able to have the access to, although we have a lot of poverty and destitution and the inequality, not going to talk the details of it as a professor of economics, but that's what is happening. So the accessibility for the computer, accessibility with the laptop, accessibility with the palm tops, and maybe the smartphones has been increased tremendously for the past 1 decade. So that also create access and with the digital education to a lot of students across the globe, even lower middle class, and upper middle class. Definitely, they could able to have it. So this is the kind of reality that is what is happening in education. Now, the outcome-based education, ladies and gentlemen, is that we were planning that students should play a vital role in the education or learning process. But what is happening is that maybe you can share probably when we engage in our discussion that you could able to share with me your own experiences that when you are engaging, when you are teaching a particular concept in management, or maybe Douglas McGregor theory, or if, Taylor theory, and probably we have so many theories of management philosophies. And when you engage, maybe Moyo's theory and so on. So when you engage with them, how you engage with them, and what is your participation as a teacher, and what is the participation of the student, we can able to distinguish whether we could able to really win the other side where we are having the outcome based education. Now, the other point I would like to mention here, ladies and gentlemen, that with the smartphones and with the digital education that we are talking today, that we all believe that we will have more time for us so that we can rest well, we can think well, we can also act well. But sadly, most of the youngsters nowadays, they are spending with the phones and computers and other digital devices not for learning purposes, but for maybe for their entertainment, for pornographics, and all other wasteful games and things like that. That's what they are doing. And I was reading a report probably about 7 8 years ago, which is connected to American education system. The youth between the age group of 15 to 25, and almost they are spending about 46 hours per week in all these pornographic and useless and non-productive kind of activities, using the phones and whatever they do. So when they have this kind of system, ladies and gentlemen, you cannot establish, no matter what, whatever you bring in, whatever curricula, whatever outcome-based education you could able to bring in, you cannot able to change the people or students at that level, and you cannot able to provide the outcome based education to such kind of students. The same thing goes with India. When I was a student, we are not having even a phone. The first phone that I have is 2004. That was like a brick phone, a Nokia phone, and it is a very basic phone. And the only smartphone I got in 2008, actually 2007 or 2008. So now students, small babies with fifth grade or third grade studies, they could able to have their own phones, and what they are doing with the phones, one can imagine. I do not use any spectacles. Maybe I'm in early 50s, but there are a lot of children with maybe 6 years, 5 years, or 2 years age. They could use the spectacles because of what is happening with these screens and things like that. So what I'm trying to tell you here, that, ladies and gentlemen, the education system, what we're supposed to aim, we need to have the value-based education. The values have been missing in our education system, unfortunately. So that is the sad reality. We need to understand that, ladies and gentlemen. Without values and education, now somebody may have a PhD degree from Harvard University or MIT, Massachusetts Technology Institute of Technology, or maybe Yale University, or probably we have Princeton University and University of London and so on, or Cambridge University. It doesn't matter whether you have a scientist, you are a scientist, you got a PhD degree, or you got a master's degree, or a bachelor degree, or engineering degree. Doesn't matter, ladies and gentlemen. Unless and otherwise, you use that education, you maintain the values of education in your lifetime, and you are an educated person that you think you are, you are creating problems for other fellow human beings. Your education is nothing in my view. So whether you learn the number one university, Harvard or Princeton, or probably many other universities in America, out of 20 top universities in the world, maybe about 16, 17 are coming from America actually. So doesn't matter when you could able to, your resilience, your patience, your observation, and your helping and being kind and respecting other fellow human being, whether you are a student or a teacher, doesn't matter, whichever position, whether you are a vice chancellor or you are a probably a security guard or a peon or a waiter. So education is always, one has to remember that it is not about the level that you are sitting with, whether you are a professor or assistant professor or a lecturer or a teacher, doesn't matter. How you engage yourself in interacting with other fellow human being, how respectful you are. You go into the restaurant and you are treating a waiter, "Hey, come here, clean this," and like a mosquito or a fly, you are not an educated person. Because when you go to the same office, when you are talking to your own, you being a manager, you are talking to your CEO or your vice chancellor, you are a head HOD or a dean, you act differently with a huge sign of respect. And when you do not maintain the same level of respect, even with the garden boys or probably the security guards or cleaners, whoever they are, at least we cannot maintain 100% the same level of respect. That is for sure. We are all human beings. We are not perfect, but we need to at least maintain the value system. When you could able to treat the fellow human being who is working at the downside, and without downside people, your life today is not what it is today. And if somebody is washing your clothes, and because of that you could able to wear the clean clothes. If somebody is cleaning your environment, you could able to live in that clean environment without having any kind of problems. So that is what we need to value, such people who are cooking for you. They are also sacrificing, they are giving you a life actually by cooking. Even the farmer who is trying to devote himself or herself, that providing the food for you. And that is what the beauty of being the downtrodden. Downtrodden, nothing but it's not in terms of money, but they are much richer than you in terms of their heart, in terms of their devotion, in terms of their dedication and the sacrifice that they make for us. So this is what is education, ladies and gentlemen. I know in the interest of time, we got another probably plus minus about 45 minutes time. We need to probably engage. Maybe I will try to open the floor in the coming. I've got PPTs that I prepared, which I normally don't like it, but I can just share it with you, just to show some of my views. And the outcome-based education that we are talking about, are we really winning? And there were some Montessori education, there are some missionary schools, there are so many other school systems that we have, which are very expensive and very far from the common man actually. And if you wanted to educate in a missionaries and probably in different other private institutions, and more than the salary that a normal lecturer or a professor earns per annum, you will be spending for one child in that particular institution. So when we have this situation here like this, ladies and gentlemen, how are we going to change this system here? And what is the kind of question papers would help us? And how do we measure the wisdom and the knowledge and the intellect or the knowledge that you're providing to the students based upon the curricula? What is the outcome? What is the expected outcomes actually a student need to learn in a given course? For instance, we have different courses from KG to PG. We have different types of curriculums, and the curriculums are being changed over a period of time, regular basis. Now, the curricula, the way we are trying to change, is it really fitting into the industry needs? And is the student who are learning MBA degree, or who is learning probably MCOM degree or MA economics degree or MTech, Master of Technology in Computer Science, or maybe any other course for that matter, or genetics and so on, the work that he is doing after the completion of his studies, whether they're masters or PhD, there is no relevance, there is no relationship what he studied and what he is doing actually. 80% cases, 80, 90% cases sometimes, you don't do what you studied actually. So the outcome, when we look at the what are the outcomes, the expected outcomes that we have in the learning outcomes that we have for every particular module, for every particular course that we teach, and we have a decent, a very insightful outcomes actually. If you look at the curricula, the way we design, a curriculum experts design, we could understand that wow, this is marvelous. The student is going to learn and many various things, and they impart the knowledge in a very practical manner. But in reality, what is happening? And now we come back again, we use the how do we test their abilities, their skill, the dexterity, the knowledge base, what they learned in that semester. And we use the tests, whether we use the true or false multiple choice, or we use probably we have the assignments, we have the term papers, and we have the project works, and we have many other areas where we could able to engage the students to test their ability, what you taught them, whether they learned or not. Now these question papers, that's why people they say that probably when it comes to the question paper that uh, life in lifetime, what we normally experience is that you are given a question paper where you do not learn before, but you are already tested your ability in the lifetime, that where you could able to experience, and after that you could able to learn, and then you could able to prepare yourself. So that's why they say that it's like in the lifetime you have an experience that is uh, sorry, I couldn't able to put it in a perspective that what we are trying to say here is that, ladies and gentlemen, that a teacher is always a learner. And when you test somebody's knowledge and wisdom, and before you learned, and where you learned and it is too late for you to apply your mind, and you could able to do it better. So the same thing is happening in our education system, where it's an outcome based education, and where students are still writing the same exams, 3 hour exam or 2 hour exam, and could able to, although we see the percentage of weightage that we given to the learning process, maybe they want to give more weightage to the practical assignments, but problem solving kind of assignments. But still, what we see in the question papers is that how do you prepare the question paper, and how do you test their ability, and how do you measure their kind of level of significance. Now if you look at the, I just would like to quote one example, the NEET exam, that was conducted recently in the month of May, and a lot of controversies that nowhere in the world probably one could able to secure the first rank, 720 out of 720, whereas there are probably, I don't remember how many people they got, but a large number of people they received that same mark. That's the highest mark actually. So what is happening, and how we are testing the ability of the students? So when you have a minus marking also, and you still could able to secure the 100% mark, and how do you distinguish? And there are a lot of other people with 719 and 715. So there are a lot of people they could able to secure the marks. So this is the sad reality, that how do you distinguish in the pyramid structure? If you wanted to go with the 100 students, and then one student only can get gold medal, or one student only can come number one in Olympics or in running or in any cricket or any game, there's only one team that could be winners. Of course, we say that everybody is a winner because they have taken part in that, but they contributed for the winning team. But nonetheless, winner is only one. Now you cannot able to decide with this education, outcome based education, and maybe you are able to test the ability or measure the ability of a student, then there's something is wrong in the system. So ladies and gentlemen, I don't know, I could able to stop here. I got maybe another 10 minutes, probably. If you want me to share the screen quickly, I could able to share, but I rather prefer more than sharing my screen than probably sharing my own views. So let me just I think that's
Any
fine. Rather, I
assistance?
would like to meet with you.
Any assistance
Maybe
required, sir?
I think I just wanted to share my PPT and I'm unable to
Otherwise,
locate
you
it.
can send the PPT. We will share from our end also if you need it. We can
Okay,
assist
just
you in that way also.
okay. When I share, okay, can you just tell me? I don't know. Do you need to give me any administrator powers to share my screen because I couldn't able to go to my
He wants
uh,
someone to
des-
share his screen.
desktop. I think the sharing power is not given to me, but it's okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I think I would
Sir,
be okay with.
can you mail the PPT otherwise?
I was, yeah, I think that I could do that, but maybe I think maybe the time also. How many minutes I still have, Dr. Selvaji?
Yes, you have it. Till 1:15 we have it.
Okay.
Um, I
Now
think so.
the time
Bhushan sir is
instead of
there inside.
taking
Bhushan
9,
sir,
11, 9, 11, maybe another half an hour somewhere there.
Hello, sir.
Yes,
Hello.
yes. बोलिए, can you able to hear me?
we have another half an hour.
Yeah, so I don't know if you want me to engage in a question and answer session, then sharing the some of those views I already shared with you. And what is happening is that the outcome-based education, what many of our participants here, what they studied during that time, what they are teaching now, there's no significant change. Now, if we do not have the significant change, whatever the outcome based education we talk about, it's only for the paper's sake or only for the discussion purpose, but it is not really having any significant impact. We are not measurable, we do not have measurable outcomes actually. So when you do not have measurable outcomes, for example, we have the SDGs we talk about, the Sustainable Development Goals. We have so many, we have 17 goals, we have more than 163 targets, and we have 132 measurable indicators. So in that manner, we need to apply certain mechanisms where we could able to try to measure in what way you can measure the ability or the skill of a particular student or a group of students or the class in general. So we do have, let me also share with you, maybe out of my mind, that we have the Bloom's taxonomy, ladies and gentlemen, and many of our students probably, or also the teachers, they don't pay much attention to the Bloom's taxonomy. Bloom's taxonomy is a kind of pyramid structure that we have higher order thinking skills. We also have a lower order thinking skills. When we have a higher order thinking skills, or probably let me start with the lower order thinking skills: reading, understanding, analyzing, or observing. So that is the lower order thinking skills. At the school level, or at the probably junior college level, at the, we say NQF level, that is National Qualification Authority, National Qualification Framework. So we need to probably level up that education, the thinking process, thought process within that particular uh, frame. And with higher order thinking skills, we need to probably synthesize, evaluate, develop, criticize, and create. So this is the higher order thinking skill. So this is what the Bloom's taxonomy says. How we apply this Bloom's taxonomy, one can just get in few seconds time, you can get in Google Drive. When I was a student, probably we do not have the internet. We do not know what Bloom's taxonomy is all about, and whatever our teachers teach us, and we just need to follow, just like Bhagwan. But other than that, there was no much outcome based education as such. We studied probably number of papers that we studied, and then what is the outcome actually, how you measure the outcome, and how you make sure that the student is having an impactful learning or insights. So that is unable to be judged and unable to be measured in any manner by any yardstick actually. So this is why, ladies and gentlemen, that when we prepare the question paper, and we need to apply these higher order thinking skills, particularly at the bachelor degree is almost like NQF level 6, and your honors degree is NQF level 7, 8, and your master's degree NQF level 9, and your PhD is NQF level 10 in South African standards, or most of the African countries. That's how they measure actually. Now, when you wanted to have a PhD degree, when you wanted to have a bachelor degree, and how do you distinguish between these two? And that is where we need to measure. How do we measure? We have higher order thinking skills, we have lower order thinking skills. The same is applied for the question papers actually. When we prepare the question papers in such a manner, please explain the challenges of marketing in Madurai city. So if you give that question to a master student, what does it tell us actually? And if you identify the problems encountered by the entrepreneurs and who are been doing digital marketing actually, and so identification, listing out, or probably giving kind of basic information, whatever information that is not, you are not able to create something that is not there. And at the PhD level, I've been examining number of PhDs from Tamil Nadu and from different parts of India. Probably more than in my career for the past 25 years, I might have covered almost about more than 200 PhDs that I examined. So the challenge that I face every time is that 98% PhDs that I examine, they fail because the objectives, the hypothesis, or the research questions that they developed, they are in line with the lower order thinking skills. I mean, understand, you don't need to understand as a PhD student. You don't need to identify which are already there in that actually. So this is what the problem is. So therefore, ladies and gentlemen, the Bloom's taxonomy plays a vital role. You can even get a sheet where for the reading, understanding, what are the action verbs that you could be able to use, and if it is synthesizing, evaluating, developing, or criticizing, creating, what are the action verbs that you can use. So when you are teaching, when you are preparing questions also, please be mindful that Bloom's taxonomy would help us a lot to where we can try to make a tailor-made kind of questions, where we can try to sharpen the ideas, and where we can try to understand where the student could able to present the answer. So that is what is important. That's why when we prepare the multiple choice questions, in most of the master's level, multiple choice is not a preferred option, but in some countries they do that. But when you prepare the multiple choice, all the 5 or 4 options that you give A, B, C, D, they all should look like the same, and they are equally like important. So it is difficult for a student to choose the right answer. So that is why, ladies and gentlemen, we need to be very, very particular about the questions that we frame, because the ability that the students could able to, the way that they would able to present the answers. So it's open-ended question where the student could able to present the answers in line with the question, and where you try to measure the knowledge base that is related to the outcome based or related to the course. What is the expected outcome of that particular course? Now, the other sad reality is that, ladies and gentlemen, you as a teacher, I was telling you that majority of the teachers, unfortunately, we can question ourselves that whether we are part of first category teachers that I told you. There are major number of teachers across the globe, not only in India. In South Africa is a worst scenario. And so how many of us, we are keeping ourselves in the first category where we are just average teachers? For namesake, we chose this profession, and for namesake, we are there. We are average teachers. We're not good teachers. We're not better teachers. How many of us we are there? And what are our contribution? Are we trying to move from the first category to the second category, where you want to make yourself as a good teacher, where you make some kind of contribution to the learning process, learning environment? And maybe your children also, they are students. If you are cheating or you are not contributing yourself for the other parents' children, then the same thing is also happening to you. Karma, what goes around comes around to you. So the same thing is happening. That's why let us be responsible. I know that we various number of reasons that many people they want to be mediocre teachers, average teachers, but to become a good teacher they need to put a lot of efforts. They need to upgrade themselves from time to time, and maybe you can still make you want to make yourself as very few people in this world, then you make the other two last categories, that better teacher and the best teacher, you always be remembered. And we still remember teachers that have been probably passed away, and the best teachers, we always remember them. So therefore, ladies and gentlemen, and the other point I would like to share it here with you, that when we are evaluating the answer scripts, how much time that we spent. If you would like to, I've been the examiner, I've been the marker for while I was working in India at Osman University. We used to go early morning, like 9 o'clock in the morning, and they give us 30 scripts, and then probably you can finish 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the evening. And you go to the Osman University campus where there is a designated area, it is secluded area. You need to sit and you need to mark and you need to go. I know my seniors, that time probably I was a junior too, and maybe with the 3-5 years experience. And my seniors who used to come, and they are the probably lead masters, they come in about half an hour, 1 hour time, they finish all the 30 scripts and go. I used to spend all the day in marking the 30 scripts, and there are even 10 or 12 scripts that remained. I used to go to the next day, which I am not paid for those other days. So this is what is happening. And when you read, then only you understand what the student is writing. When you are just closing your eyes and marking your script, what the bright student have written, what the bad student have written, you cannot able to distinguish. So this is also another major problem that we face in the evaluation system. How come if somebody is securing 100 out of 100 in English literature, or in maybe Tamil literature or Hindi literature, and maybe in some political science or civics, and maybe general courses or sociology, anthropology, history, and so on and so forth. If you get 100 marks out of 100 in statistics or in mathematics, that one can understand that. In theory papers, you could able to give 100 out of 100. On what basis you are giving actually? So we need to question ourselves. That means if the teacher is absolutely, or the lecturer is absolutely spending time to evaluate from 0 to 1, who is who, what is what, one student only could secure the highest mark. Not many students can secure the mark. That's why we use the bell-shaped system, where you can give some lowest marks and highest marks, and then you come down and so on. So these are the things that are happening. That's why, ladies and gentlemen, teacher plays an important role in the education system. That's why there's a saying always said, remember that if your education system is not strong enough, if it's not based upon the values and the outcomes that are expected, you don't need to use any nuclear weapons or war tanks to destroy any country. If you lower the levels or the standards of education, you can destroy the nation without having any kind of violence. The reason is that, ladies and gentlemen, if you have the medical doctors, we have so many medical colleges that are mushroomed for the past maybe 5 to 10 years time. Even Tamil Nadu is having highest number of medical colleges in the country. What kind of education we are providing? And now, if you do not have the standards, and you are just lowering the standards in any manner, you cannot produce the quality and skilled doctors actually. A doctor who's supposed to save the lives of the human beings is there to take the lives of the human beings. And in fact, I also had experienced, my mother has been passed away just because of the doctor's mistake. So these things are happening on daily basis. Thousands and thousands of lives are being lost, even in the private hospitals, where they extract a lot of money, but at the end of the day, there's no positive outcome. We cannot expect every doctor to play like a God's role to save the life of everybody, but at least to the bare minimum. So they are looking only at money. They're not looking at the other side, which is important in that profession. So this is one point I would like to mention here. So that means that you don't need nuclear weapons to destroy. And we have produced nuclear weapons, ladies and gentlemen, that maybe America and Russia, these two countries alone, they produced for the past 20, 30 years down the line, during the Cold War era, they produced the number of nuclear weapons that can destroy the entire planet Earth more than 13 times. So imagine the fact that now when it comes to the education side, when you are producing the doctors with no skill or low skill, absolutely they are not going to play any role in that medical profession. The second point is that the engineers that you produce, we have a lot of private colleges in Telangana, in Andhra Pradesh, in Tamil Nadu, in across India. And what kind of degrees that we are providing actually? We take our Bachelor of Technology, Bachelor of Engineering. If you look at that, what kind of, if somebody who qualified with a BA Tech degree, at least they should understand, they should know. They couldn't able to even format the computer. The people who completed the Masters of Science in what do we call computer science or MCA, or maybe a BTech in computer engineering and so on. So we do have a lot of students who are coming with the degree papers who doesn't have any skill, who doesn't even have a basic knowledge about the computer technologies. So if the engineer who is having low levels of knowledge and skill, where the system that way we designed and where we test the ability, where we pass the students, if they couldn't able to complete in the way that we expect them to complete, if they find the shortcut, there is no shortcut methods for the learning. You need to all the curves, all the ups and downs, and you need to face the hardships. Then only you are a learner. If you're just paying the money to a private institution, then you deserve to get the degree, then you are not a student. Then you are not going to contribute anything to this world, actually. So this is what is happening in private sector, in most of the institutions, ladies and gentlemen. You know better than me. I left India in 1997. For the last 27 years down the line, I'm out of the country. I do come, but probably you guys know better than me about what is happening on the ground. So now the engineer that we produce, if he having no skill, no knowledge, if he's planning to construct a bridge and the bridges are going to collapse, they're going to kill a lot of people, they're going to waste crores of rupees, and because it's not long lasting. And the way that we build our own what do we call infrastructure, the roads, the buildings, the banks, and other maybe power stations and so on, and every year we need to repair, or every year probably we need to spend additional money. If we establish a road that should last at least 20 years without having much repairs. While I was in Moscow and St. Petersburg a couple of months ago, we could see the difference of the roads that they built. And that is the strictness. That is why education is not a child play. There's no easy game. It's like a military rule. So you need to do it actually. If you don't do it, you don't show the quality of work what you are learned. So therefore, the roads that are built in Moscow or St. Petersburg and few other cities that I've been to, it's absolutely marvelous. And that is what we need to do. If an engineer who is qualified, they instead of eating the money by one way or the other way, the politicians one side and the bureaucrats on the other side, and he can eat as much as he can eat. And when he tend to eat the money, no education teaches that while you are practicing your own profession as a doctor, as an engineer, as a lawyer, or whoever you are, and an accountant or an economist, no education tells you that you be a corrupt professional. You can get the money and you don't do the proper job. Nowhere it is stated, nowhere it is mentioned. But we are human beings. We have been doing this. That's where we are trying to compromise with the quality and the standards of education. So, ladies and gentlemen, I was telling you that that engineers with less qualification or low qualification, no skill, no dexterity, they cannot plan properly. They cannot contribute for the industrial development and the productivities and so on and so forth. Then we have the lawyers who also been playing their own role in the justice system, and they couldn't able to protect the common man and they cannot able to give the justice. The justice is delayed, the justice is denied. So this is what is happening. There are hundreds of thousands of cases that have been pending. People are fed up. They don't even know what to do. And there are so many cases, whether criminal or civil cases, that have been pending because we do not have enough qualified people. We do not have system that has been developed to resolve the cases quickly, and they've been lying. They have been piled up. 10 years, 20 years, people are dying actually before they hear the outcome of that. So when we have the justice system, whether they're lawyer or public protector, public prosecutor or judge or whoever, chief justice, so the system, the way that we learned, they need to uphold the values of education. They need to uphold the standards of education. They need to uphold the morals of education. We have the priests. There are a lot of priests that we have across India. India has got large number of temples actually than anywhere in the world, and large number of priests, the hundreds and thousands, lakhs of priests that are there everywhere for every temple. If the priest himself is not able to, with the low levels of education, with no moral values, he is only looking at the money that he could able to grab from the people. When you go to the Madura, Sri Krishna Janma, whatever temple that is, and Ram Mandir or whichever temple, or Madura Meenakshi, I was there in 1988. So the priests that you could able to tell me in Tirupati Balaji, or probably you go to maybe Shirdi and so on, people, priest means like a Bhagwan, in the image of God actually. He's a representative of God. He should connect a common man devotee to the God. That's what is not happening actually. So when the priest became a businessman, when priest became an entrepreneur who only wanted to make the money without having the proper rituals that you're supposed to, and the enchanting mantras and so on, and what education we are talking about. So, ladies and gentlemen, that we need to uphold. So, therefore, the education system should be strong. The value-based education must be important. Unless and otherwise we do this, there's no way that we could able to progress. No matter we are the fifth largest economy in the world, or America is the first largest economy in the world, doesn't matter. So what matters is education. Zimbabwe, I've been to Zimbabwe number of times. I've been to Malawi also number of times. Zimbabwe, Malawi, they are the poorest countries in the world actually. If you take 172 countries which are listed by the World Bank, and these countries among the top 10 worst performing or maybe poorest countries in the world. But when you look at the education system there, it is still good enough. Probably I could say that even better than some of our educational institutions within our country, and maybe better than South Africa, I could say. So, therefore, ladies and gentlemen, in the interest of time, I would like to conclude by stating that so education is a teamwork from parents, children, teachers, the evaluators, moderators, the administrators, everybody involves to shape one child. That's why they say that in South Africa, they say that if you want to educate a child, the whole village should stand. If you wanted to plant a tree, you can plant a tree, but if you want to educate a child, the whole village or the whole community, one way or the other way, they need to support in that process. So with these few words, I would like to thank the event organizer, Dr. Selva Lakshmi, and the Velammal Institute of Engineering and Technology, and all other colleagues, the participants from different corners of India. And thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you, Vandal.
Thank you, sir. On behalf of our organizing team, it's my privilege to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion. Really, your session was very
Well,
helpful and that was learning session, sir. Thank you.
Maheshwari ji, do we have any question and answer session before we go for the vote of thanks? I don't know. Maybe Dr. Selva Lakshmi, can you able to guide us?
Yes, sir. Obviously, we have Q&A.
Okay, so maybe the first vote of thanks and then it goes to question and answers. Then it's fine.
No, she will moderate. Kasturi ma'am is
Sure.
moderating the question and answer too. So
Yeah,
she
yes,
will
sir.
be
First, we
answering.
can have the question
Kasturi
and
ma'am.
answer, then we can have the vote of thanks, sir. Thank you.
Absolutely. That's fine. Now the floor is open for any kind of engagement and any perspectives, ladies and gentlemen. I'd be very happy to interact with you. Thank you.
Dear participants, if you have any question and answer, please put forth. Either you can unmute yourself and speak or you can put forth in the chat box.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, Professor.
Yes, Dilipan, good afternoon.
Yeah, sir. Actually, your the entire lecture was it was very well, and it was like a more of experiential rather than putting it in PowerPoint and all those things. And one of the questions that lingers me after hearing from you was, in today's scenario, the entire professor community, the teaching community, are more binded with documentation due to statutory frameworks, and the teaching becomes very less, and it is very difficult to implement outcome-based education in higher education institution where the professors were given more allocation of times, especially for the documentation. So this becomes a great challenges for the professors in today's scenario. So in such cases, how can we overcome those challenges?
Well, it's a tough question to deal with, Dilipanji. Like I said, we have a system that was designed by some people who do not even be there on the ground. When you design a system, you need to also experiment, and you need to. That's why people they say that experience is a bad teacher because it gives test first and lesson later. But now the people who are designing these set rules and the system itself, some of them they could be there on the ground at one stage, but without looking into the practical difficulties of the fellow teaching community, they set something and they will expect us to implement it at the grassroots level, at the classroom level, and they expect us to achieve the outcomes. It never happens. So why Philippines, the what do we call the Finland education system or Korean education system or Singaporean education system is valued more than our education system is one can understand the fact that too much content based, too much by hearting, too much omitting in the form of examination. We have so many psychologists, education psychologists, educational theories that are being categorically shown through their own research results that it's not going to be helpful, it's not going to be effective, it's not going to be impactful. So when we have the system like that, I know they dump everything. There's a lot of administrative work. You as a professor, you also be the HOD, you also be the dean, you also be the course leader, you also engage with communities. You will be doing so many things other than your own teaching duties. And when you have busy like that, you sacrifice. In India, actually, we need to appreciate the teachers because they are committed at least what they are doing in that commitment process in the day or the week or the month or the year, that is I'm unable to say, but they are more committed actually, because in the private sector, in the public sector, some people, we are always having the other side of the coin. But there are teachers, particularly in the private sector, maybe with the fear or with the whatever that respect, they are more committed. They try to engage themselves. They work day and night. Actually, I've seen so many people that they're working Saturdays, Sundays, no public holidays, nothing. They just devote themselves for their purpose. So how we can resolve this is a very fundamental question that can be asked to our the policy designers, policy implementers. We have the NAC, we have so many other kind of regulatory bodies that we have. And what is happening when somebody get A plus grade, on what basis they are getting? Actually, I have visited so many A plus grade institutions, but I couldn't say A at all, and forget about plus. So I couldn't even see B at all, but they are sitting with A plus category. So all these things should not be like a formality purpose. They have been using this just to track them or to put some of the records here and there. That's all is happening actually. We are not able to measure what this particular institution, whether it is really deserved to get A or A plus. That is not nobody is checking about. So when we having a regulatory bodies, AICTE or whatever bodies that we talk about, maybe Medical Council of India and whatever, and what is going to happen actually to our education system? That's why sadly that there are some advertisements that I've seen while I was still in India in 1990s, that they say that Indian aspirants don't need to apply. There's a note bayane or the caution that are given in the advertisement that the Indian degree holders, they don't need to apply. And that is absolutely a slap on our faces actually. And we are the people who have been the pioneers of education, and we are the one who started the Nalanda, Takshashila, and many other universities where we were playing a vital role historically in the before Christ, hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago. But now our qualifications are not being recognized. So, but now just to give you maybe a snapshot view, Dilipanji, for your question, that it is very difficult. So you as an individual, your system is nothing to do, but I always advise you as an individual what you can do with your morals, with your ethics, with your sacrifices, with your hard work. You make a difference. You always can make a difference. So that is why I've been the examiner for so many universities across the globe, including UCT, University of Cape Town. University of Cape Town is ranked among the top 130 universities in the world, and none of our IITs and IIMs are Indian Institute of Science is ranked in that category. So it is the number one in not only in South Africa, but in the entire African continent. But still, I examine a lot of masters and PhDs for them. It all depends upon individual supervisor who really pays attention in what they are doing. So that is why my only advice, you cannot change the system because system is dominated by so many bureaucrats. They don't understand. They only think about themselves. They think that they are coming from the heaven, and then they just wanted to prepare and dump on our faces to implement and see the positive. It never happens. Okay, so just do your job properly and you try to contribute with your heart, with your soul, with your mind together to the development of quality education. That would be my advice. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you, sir. Just for kind request for all the participants, can you please on the camera to have a photo session? Thank you. Okay. Thank you all. On behalf of organizing team, it's my privilege to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion, and my heartfelt thanks to thanks to our special expert and a respect of a distinguished and a guest speaker for not only giving the value knowledge, but also giving the invaluable time for us to grade this occasion, but also for enlightening us. Thank you once again for everyone. Thanks a lot.
Thank you once
Thank you.
again. We will hope to see you maybe when I visit India. Maybe I could visit your institution in Velammal, Madurai, but we'll keep in touch. I wish you good luck for the coming days. Thank you, Dr. Selva Lakshmi, and all other colleagues.
Thank you, sir. Very well. We'll be looking forward for. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.